Morning, folks. Welcome to the Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. Boy, do we have a special program for you today. We're going to talk about the vice presidential debate. Don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. Hey, don't turn it off yet. No, it's not going to be too boring. We'll talk about that debate a little bit. I've been watching the Vince McMahon WWF doc on Netflix, and it gave me a great idea for a brand new segment that I think we might have to bring back called Outdated Culture. Things that you definitely wouldn't be able to do anymore. It's an odd tag for it, but sure, we'll go with that. And we also have an interesting conversation around the future of the internet, where things are going. Are we all screwed? And also an interesting, we're going to do a little, we like to talk about the sex lives of politicians on here. Today we have Vladimir Putin and a lot more fun things. But first, make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment, all that. Leave us a rating on whatever, and come see me live. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it right now. The vice presidential debate, at the time I'm taping this, was last night. It was 2 nights ago when you're listening to this. And I want to give my direct opinion on the debate in the manner that they give their direct opinion on everything. So what I would say is that my opinion on the vice presidential debate is that, look, I grew up in a working class family. And for us, a lot of the politics that we used to do in my family surrounded the kitchen table politics, not unlike a lot of other Americans in this country. And there were times when we would try to figure out how we were going to put food on that table. And if that food was on that table, is that food good? And I think that's not unlike a lot of people here today. And that's why I've spent my entire life in the service thinking about people like you. People like me, because as a person like me, who is also like you, who grew up in a time when, seriously, people used to look each other in the eye and talk about things one-to-one, and we've gotten so far away from it. And so I say all that to say that debate was boring as shit. It was. And in the sense that they were actually, and of course, you can have your problems with what each of them said or whatever, but no, it was boring in the way that it is supposed to be. They were actually trying to have a back and forth surrounding issues. And yeah, they screwed up on certain things. Did Tim Walz say he was friends with school shooters? I'm quite certain he did say that. That was a moment. That was a moment and a half. But it's Donald Trump has ruined our brains. And I don't think that's a hot take. Donald Trump is he's a creature of his time, right? Donald Trump is the algorithm. He has taken something that you're supposed to pay attention to, distilled it into the most insane and entertaining and brain-rotty version of it, and then spat it out directly at you in a way that has ruined everything else. He is TikTok, and politics is books. Books are better for you. Books are what you should use if you want to think about things in a better way. Books are a lot more healthier and will not leave you feeling like shit at the end of the day because they're not mental junk food. But when you've been watching TikTok for 10 straight hours, book is not going to work. And I think this is a problem, but it's also a reality because we've decided politics are entertainment, or at least everything is entertainment now. Life is content. Everything's entertainment. I've said this probably 1,000 times. Everything aside from this show is fucking raw data. But I was watching that and I was like, shit, now of course, in fairness, are they actually having real honest policy debates, or are they just scoring points on one another by using smooth language? Sure, yeah, they're definitely doing that. I find myself not agreeing with almost any of J.D. Vance's policies, and I don't necessarily think he was correct in the things that he was saying. He lied about a lot of things, but he's supposed to. He won the fuck out of that debate. If you're going to, if you want to go for who had the best moment, you could probably say Tim Walz hit a buzzer beater with getting JD to just not admit that Trump lost the election, which is such an insane thing. If Trump could just stop being nuts about that, he'd have a much better chance. But that's not why you're here. We don't have to talk about full, in-depth political analysis. We just want to talk about what it all means. And I think what it means is that our brains are rotting. That's okay. It was nice to see two fellas get back out there, right? I mean, there were a lot of guys at home going, two younger, moderately more attractive women just asking fellows what they think about political issues and not being allowed to interrupt. Now, that's my kind of Saturday night down at the pub. I don't think that, but some people might have. Now we'll get to watch as people try to clip this and chew it up and redigest it in ways that will suit their own narrative, as the entire thing is about spin and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, I don't think many Americans watch this, and I don't really think it's going to make much of a difference in the debate, so we don't have to spend that much time on it. But how are you supposed to follow "they're eating the dogs" with a civil conversation surrounding differences in policy without personal animus, which I'm obviously kidding a little bit about. I mean, I'm not kidding. It was hard to watch after watching a Trump thing, because Trump knows that it is fight night. It is a battle. It is WWE, which we'll discuss next. That being said, it's nice to think that maybe in the future there will just be a time when we do go back a little bit. Like, I do believe that just because something has gotten out of hand doesn't mean there's no chance that we can swing back a little bit. Just because we're here now doesn't mean it is the future. We could maybe swing back a little bit. Just a little bit. Now, people were mad. Some people were mad that some political analysts will be mad when it's like, how can you be civil with someone when they're, A, you're letting them get away with stuff, and B, you're pretending like their policies, which are insane, are more in step with the average American. And that is a totally fair point. But the average American who's watching that doesn't follow friggin' politics all day and wants to just see people be like, okay, let's just take the temperature down. Let's see what I like. But it is WWE, and boy, have I learned a lot about wrestling. I've never watched wrestling because I think it's stupid, to be fair. And I'm watching this Netflix documentary, which is about Vince McMahon. I have not gotten to, I'm on the 5th episode. We've not gotten to the horrific, crazy scandals that tore him out of owning WWE or I don't really know what the even acronym is. But I've known that it's happening in culture forever, but I was never going to watch it because I was like, oh, it's fake. Who cares? And like, I realized that it's storylines, but I've never been able to understand what is happening. I mean, if I want to watch a show, I'll watch a show. If I want to watch a sporting event, I'll watch a sporting event. I don't understand what this is. Sports documentaries are such a great way to give you the full concept and catch you up. So it's crazy, but it is fascinating, and it is a show, and it's all about finding out where people are and then just giving the audience ruthlessly what they want and then pushing it further and getting a reaction. And that reaction is not about elevating discourse. That reaction is about making people go, oh! But the thing is, when you make people go, oh, again and again and again and again, you get to an insane place. And that's what happened. It also is a mirror of culture, because what they need to do to push the line to get people surprised is find out what people are paying attention to, find out what's going to make people have a crazy reaction, and then feed it to them. And in the case of humor, that ends up being very interesting a lot of the time. So I went ahead, I thought it would be interesting to pull some of the craziest WWE, WWF. I think we'll be able to make this a segment. What do we call this? Outdated culture. Let's start here with JBL kicks out illegals at the Mexican border. All right, let's take a peek here. So, to be fair, no context WWF is even crazier because there is a huge concept within it where sometimes you're playing the heel and you're supposed to do something that purposefully disgusts the audience, makes you a bad guy, and so it elicits a reaction, and then you come out and people go boo. So you could be doing something and showing through art, hey, this is disgusting. And we allow that for high-class art like movies and things like that. That is in fairness to this. Now, the crazy thing is, I would like to know if he was a heel or a hero. I don't know. Let's assume maybe he was being a heel there. The crazy thing is that could win a role in Trump's administration these days. Like, that actually might not play as insane as you think. Now, these people will note, and this is a fair point, not great, even if you're playing a heel, maybe not a great thing to portray. Imagine the Mexican guy who got that acting job, and they're like, okay, so here's what you're going to do. A herd is crazy. Now we have another one. This is Muhammad Hassan. So this is a few years after 9/11. They debuted a character named Muhammad Hassan. And this character, I don't believe he was even played by a actual Muslim person. So let's, Muhammad Hassan, real name. Let's find out here. Mark Julian Kopani. Okay, that does not sound particularly Arab American. His career came to an abrupt end when a controversial terrorist angle coincided with the London bombings of July 7th, 2005. Okay, yeah, so that's tough. All right. Yeah, we're not actually getting the full all right. Well, either way. Yep. Okay. Well, either way, here's I found this to be an interesting promo. This is after 9/11, so we are engaged in wars all over the Middle East. Patriotism is at an all-time high. People are not being particularly nice to Arab Americans at this time, as I recall. And we have this character who comes out and is supposed to play a heel. Let's take a peek. He does not like this woman showing skin. You hear that sound? Here he comes. He's like, give me the car keys now. Give me those car keys.
Any worse time to come out here? I don't think so.
The fans are like, we want to see that box. We do not want to see that box cutter. 9/11 joke. He's walking out. He's looking at her. She's not happy. He's got a dude with him. Just a fella. The fans are booing him. And this is the problem with the heel characters. Now we're just booing a guy in a headscarf. Now they're supposed to, but this is the problem when you play on culture in these moments. It shows us a lot about ourselves.
Never mind.
Gentlemen, I wasn't even finished.
Okay. 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 He does not want her near a car. Let's see what he has to say. Let's see what he has to say about this. He's going to hand the mic to Muhammad Hassan.
You know, I guess that I don't find this as surprising as I find it disgusting that a country that is a den of lies and a cesspool of hypocrisy. They put on this facade of holiday cheer and goodwill towards all men.
Christmas time.
But in reality, America does not wish goodwill towards all men. Only those that they see fit to show it to. And right now, especially right now, that does not include my Arab brothers.
Yo, is he spitting facts?
These aren't just my personal beliefs, people. These are undisputable, cold hard facts. A recent poll done at Cornell University.
What?
A prestigious American Ivy League institute shows that at least half of all Americans believe that Arab Americans should have their civil liberties limited.
Wait, this is like
The
a...
same civil liberties that are guaranteed to every human being under our Constitution.
This is so,
Limited.
like,
And not
progressive
because we've
and
done anything wrong,
interesting.
and not because we've committed any crimes.
They're booing him. He's the heel.
Simply because
He's making a
we
political
are
point that
Arab
ages well.
descent. Don't listen to me, people. You can find out for yourself right now at home. Go to news.cornell.edu and you can see the truth for yourselves. And the
Who wrote
truth
this?
is that deep down inside your hearts, every single one of you is prejudiced. And the truth is that deep down, none of you have the guts to admit it to yourselves.
This is crazy. To do this in a heel environment where they are supposed to boo.
And if you people don't open your eyes, and if you people don't open your eyes and see what you're doing to my Arab brothers, to me, then my New Year's resolution will be to personally beat some sense into America.
Hey, Muhammad! It's infidels like these two who are what's wrong with America. The good old boys that don't give anyone from a different culture a chance. And you sit here and you preach your prejudice, propaganda from a media perch to an audience of millions.
I don't know about an audience of millions, but I know I, for one, have heard just about enough from you two. And if you don't back off, I'm going to propaganda your face with my fist. Do you understand that?
What an incredible reply to that soliloquy. That timely soliloquy that ages incredibly well, knowing what we know about the Patriot Act. What an I was not expecting to play all 5 minutes of that, but it's unbelievable because there's all these moments where people will write about how the terror war stuff that they did aged poorly because it was racist. They have this dude come out and just make a point that people were not ready to hear, but that ages really well, that was backed up by statistics from Cornell. Is that what we were expecting from the WWF? I was not, but it's weird to portray it in an environment where then people are just going to be like, exactly, that's the bad guy. So it's a really great cultural lens. Now, here's another move that they used this same character for. He was fighting The Undertaker, and he had some friends come out. So, Yeah, so he does come out with a group of terrorists as well to destroy the Undertaker. So that does undermine some of the point they were making politically if you tie this behavior. If you take the good point and then add this to it, the camel clutch. So yeah, I understand that when you mix it all together and then there are bombings by actual terrorists, it becomes less fun to play with. Yeah. So, but hey, culture gets outdated, folks. This is the point of the segment, and it remains true. Oh, they're taking this body and okay, well, yeah. So it's a gray area, and that's what makes it so fun going back. Okay, we have another one here. This is a group called the Mexicools. This is a group of 3 wrestlers. They're called the Mexicools. It's not even Mexican anymore. It's Mexicool. Let's pay homage to their rich heritage, the rich heritage of the people of Mexico. Yep. They're coming out on lawnmowers, folks. If you're just listening at home, they are riding out on John Deere lawnmowers. I don't know if those lawnmowers are lowered. I don't know if they're lowriders, but they are coming out on lawnmowers. So there's not even much to add context-wise. Now, people liked them. There's merch. You can buy. Can I buy a Mexicools shirt? Let's see about this. Mexicools merch. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We can do it. Yeah, it's just, some of it doesn't age well. This is just one of those things where you're going, probably not a ton of diversity in that writer's room. Obviously, the wrestlers here are Mexican, but probably not as much sway as the Vince McMahon character. But this is where wrestling hits this gray area, which creates the craziest stuff. Is it's like, no, we can do stuff that just makes people go, what? And in the 90s, that's what it was. I mean, we're not even going to get into the stuff that they did with women. It was just all fake tits and just throwing ass, and that's what it was. There was not a lot of nuance to the lady characters. Now, here's, of course, there's one final one that we're going to touch on here, because this one's just special. So yeah, there you go. That's our that's our WWE segment for the day. Not a whole lot to add on that last one. Just some fun moments from a different time. Some fun moments from a different time, designed to shock, designed to awe, would be even more effective now if that was your end goal. But it's this interesting thing. It brought up as I was watching this documentary, this interesting point that Vince McMahon, again, disgraced abuser and all this at this point, but makes in the documentary where he says, we didn't set culture, we followed it. We didn't start trends, we followed them. He followed his almighty life, his almighty goal was the dollar. And the dollar for him followed audience engagement and reaction. And all of that was shock and awe. It started with storylines. It started with you have a good guy and you have a bad guy. And then they entered into a realm of competition. They needed to compete with other wrestling groups, and they needed to keep up with culture. And in the 90s, whatever it was, shit started getting a little dark. You look at Woodstock 99, who's headlining? It's Korn. What's happening? Bad thing. Everything was pretty edgy, pretty dark, pretty let's get gritty. And they started doing that, pushing the envelope further and further and further in this kind of overarching concept of it's not up to us to be better than, it's not up to us to dictate where things should go. It's just up to us to follow where they're going because that's how we make money. Now, this is a huge concept because this is a lot of how our democracy runs, certainly now. Representative democracy means give the people what they want. We don't need to tell the truth about things. We need to lie, message it properly, and make people happy. We need to say insane things that are engaging, like Trump, that rile people up. We just need to keep pushing it further and further because that's what people want. We don't decide. We don't get to, who, you think you're better than me? You think you're better than the people? That's disgusting. But as you follow everything, things do start to get crazy. And we've entered a phase now with the internet where we are following the algorithm. There's this whole theory going on right now. James Blake is in the news, great musician. He posted something. He's very upset about how basically he has amassed all these followers. He's played shows for millions of people. He has all these followers online, hundreds of thousands. And when he posts a story promoting shows, it gets crazy bottlenecking. It gets shows to a few thousand people. Because Instagram has decided, even if we're showing you a story, if people aren't really engaging with it, or honestly, if it includes a link that takes you off our platform, then fuck you. So a link to your ticketing website, fuck you. You're taking eyeballs away from us. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all of these platforms have gone towards a algorithmic model instead of a followers-based model. So what I mean by that is you see a piece of content you like. You decide to follow somebody. You decide to follow me, subscribe to me, whatever. I post something that isn't absolutely ripping on Instagram that you might like, even though you chose to opt in and follow me. It's not going to show it to you because it is only ranking stuff that the algorithm is suggesting. So you're going to get more viral, more engaging content, which is why everything becomes, it does get more entertaining, honestly, watching a lot of these apps, but it's kind of pushing us in a direction of crack. What's this crazy, short, insanely relatable sketch that is kind of low effort but really easy to get that I'm going to share to 10 of my friends instead of what's this long piece that's maybe more of an artistic risk created by a creator that I've opted in to follow and say that I trust. This is the direction that everything is going. And the CEO of Patreon, Jack Conte, gave a really awesome speech about this, talking about how not only is that kind of bothersome for the creator, but it creates this entire incentive structure where creators are now just completely incentivized not to follow our own artistic inner voice, but just to follow what is working. And so you get all this stuff online that starts looking increasingly alike because the algorithm has realized that's what people are sharing and liking and following. Creators are realizing that's what people are sharing and liking and following. And now you're getting a lot of content that mirrors one another, and it's getting shown to you whether you follow people or not. And so right now it's kind of fun because it's like, hey, like, you know, it's pretty entertaining when you open up a lot of these apps. But the long-term ramifications of it are really negative because we're all following the dollar. We're all following the attention. We're all following what's going to get people to go, oh, the entire world of online content has become, to some extent, this WWE type space. Now, that doesn't mean that people are doing the ridiculous shit that Vince McMahon was doing. That doesn't mean that people are abusing their own ethics or that it's getting like particularly disgusting and out of control. But it's this path that we're all on that's going to go a certain direction. And honestly, it's kind of stressful and it doesn't feel great for anybody. Now, I have no idea how to fix that. And on the other hand, the discoverability, the virality of certain numbers of clips is why I've been able to amass more followers and go on tour, but then post about that tour, and not a lot of people fucking see it. So many times I'm on tour, I go to a place, and tons of people will come up to me and go, "Oh my God, are you doing shows?" And I'm like, "Yes." They don't know about them. That's fine. I don't expect people to watch my every move, but it is more people who recognize me on the street sometimes than that actually realize the shows are happening. So it's very funny. A lot of people, too, it's so many people will come up to me and they don't even know who I am. They're like, "Fuck, I've seen you. I don't know what's happening." So it's a little old man yells at cloud because I don't have any solution for this. There is no incentive. In fact, it is illegal for any of these companies to not do something that maximizes shareholder value. And given that every platform is based on ad revenue, anything that doesn't maximize overall watch time and addiction to a platform is basically illegal for a CEO to do. So that's not great. I think that, James Blake is trying to partner with new platforms. Obviously, the CEO of Patreon has this, Patreon I think is a good idea, and we'll start a Patreon for this show soon once people are actually watching the free version. Other than the motherfucking 12 and Hunty, throw up the graphic. The 12 and Hunty, Mr. Biden, leader of the 12. But it's just something that I find very interesting because I just think it's happening everywhere. And it's something that you can't really control outside of your own information diet and I guess technically how you also want to create. I do think that artists get stressed out by this. I know that I do. Sometimes you look at the numbers and you become really obsessed with the numbers. And I think that the only thing that ends up making you feel good at the end of the day is stepping back, checking in with yourself and being like, fuck it. Let's post something, not check the metrics all day, and just move on to the next thing. Try something new. Who cares if it works? Whatever. Keep trying newer and newer and newer things, and maybe you'll be the next person to come up with a new trend. Because trust me, if you're just a follower, if you never iterate, if you never improve on what you're doing, you will definitely never gain new fans. And the only thing that ends up making you feel good at all is pushing forward into doing something that's new and creative. It's unfortunate then you have to give it back for free to an application that may or may not prioritize it, despite how many people have already opted in to see it. But what you gotta do, huh? Hey, what are you gonna do? It's where we are. This is the moment that we live in, and I think that you just look at the landscape as it is. You take personal responsibility for trying to be the best person that you can within that, and check in with yourself and make sure you feel good about what you're doing, kid. So I guess that's kind of a dystopic review, but, certainly tied the themes of the pod together. Hope you're enjoying this comedy podcast. I'm Joey Avery. Come see me live where I actually will tell jokes, joeyavery.com/live. And I do appreciate those of you that actually listen to this because I think podcast listeners are the people that will come on out to shows. Okay, you hear it every week. You hear me retread the same three things that I'm thinking about constantly in different, fun, new, and sometimes creative ways. I think that's all that I had on that. I want to make sure that I wasn't missing anything because I think it's a really interesting. I'll actually put there's a video that I watched from a YouTube channel, which I'll plug here, about something called the dead internet theory. And the dead internet theory has been kind of debunked, at least the larger concept of it, which is basically this conspiracy theory that the internet died around 2016. And the concept surrounds the fact that the amount of bot activity in terms of content creation, commenting, and all these things reached a threshold around 2016 where more of the content was being created by non-human entities than human entities. And so you have like spam and you have all these things that are basically just creating this giant friggin' machine where you're starting to just pump stuff into people's face. And it's kind of like the concept is that it's the death of the freedom of the internet, the death of the creativity of the internet, and the death of the possibility for actual human expression to get correctly portrayed through it. And people have basically said the bot activity is not so much that it's actually run the entire internet. I mean, I'm a bot, but that's not the point. But with AI, it's going to get scarier and scarier and more, and that's all very true. The video portrays that and then goes into more of the stuff that I'm talking about. It's where I found out about the Jack Conte speech, whatever, so I do want to cite it. It'll be in the notes. But yeah, it's just interesting. I don't hear nearly enough about Vladimir Putin's cock. I don't. And it's one of the things that I think he wants to talk about. Now, we could talk about how he's a horrible, repressive leader who is trying to kill and take Ukraine, for sure. I think we've done enough negative and real shit on this episode. I apologize, but we're going to talk about this because I read an article about his personal life because I didn't realize he was married back in the day. He got divorced. He's with a girl. The main part of this story was about how he still likes to play hockey. Now, I get that. Trying to put the old biscuit in the basket, slapping the old frozen disc around, that's a nice thing to do. It's a hell of a nice time. I support that. Okay? Even for well, no, not for him. You should stop being mean. Vladimir Putin he's very private, but what he does like to show off is when he's being a dude. And he used to play in all these hockey games. And of course, when he'd play in the hockey games, full Kim Jong-un levels of stats. I'm talking the GOAT. I'm talking Un in 2012. Okay? Is that when he hit 17 hole-in-ones? Maybe. He does it every week. One of the best. People talk about Jordan the GOAT. I think not. There's only one number, Un. But Vladimir Putin has put up a lot of goals. A lot of goals. He would play in these public games, double hatties, just fucking basically a machine. Like, if he wasn't so busy as a San Jose Sharks fan, I'd probably put him on a line with Celebrini. Because this dude had a game without a doubt. Just a fucking force. You put the puck on the tape, it's finding twine. You let Pooty out there with the boys, you're coming back down 15. That's the only reason he's not in the NHL is because the Stanley Cup wouldn't leave Moscow. Kid gets buckets. One of the best to ever do it. Right now, because everyone's mad at him because he's trying to kill everyone in Ukraine, he's not allowed to play publicly anymore. And who has really lost in that? The fans, the sports fans. That's who's lost. But I was encouraged to find out that Vladimir Putin is still playing puck. He ain't done yet. Gretzky, season 62. The old man and the river of goals. He fucking scores, okay? Doesn't matter who you have between the pipes. He's still playing, but he can't play in public because people are trying to kill him. So he still plays puck, but he plays in private against his bodyguards. He only plays puck against his bodyguards. That's different. That is built different. That is levels of, like, I think I don't have time to play hockey. I feel like I'm too busy to play hockey. I'm not even running a war. I feel like I'm too busy to play hockey because I have this podcast and tour. And I try to work out every once in a while. I'm like, how am I going to get to the rink? He finds a way. He finds a way, and he rallies all the boys, and they play. And most interesting about all of it, He has a hidden lady. He has a hidden lady. It's supposed to be private, but he has tons of lapses in his security, so we know more about his personal life than we're supposed to. So yeah, Vlad, people do kiss and tell. We're getting those dong tails, brother man. And Vladimir Putin is dating a woman who he's rumored to have children with, who was a gold medalist back in the day, Alina Kabeva. Nice little piece back in the day. Gymnast, absolutely sitting on the thing. I mean, riding the man like a pommel horse. I mean, sucking the oil out of him like he's trying to do to an entire region. I mean, Keystone XXL pipeline on the young man, blowing his head off like the CIA wants to. Alina Kabeva. He won't claim her in public, but she's sitting on that thing and spinning. Reportedly. Now, apparently he has kids with her. Apparently they live in some crazy place in the frozen north. It's all very Game of Thrones to me. And the kids get transported around, but only via car, so you can't see them. And do they have any outlet to the outside world? Reports are one of the boys likes online chess, just like his father. He's trying to play with his knights and the pieces on the board, and what is he going to do? And none of that is nearly as interesting as the fact that he makes this poor woman sit behind a smoky glass case and watch him secretly play hockey with his bodyguards. She is the only person who gets to see the greatest hockey player in the history of the game, and she's in a hidden little glass box. Some would call it a penalty box. A penalty for what her box has gone through dealing with that fucking stud. He's a piece of shit. I want to be clear about that. But he is still the greatest to ever play the game statistically. And there's only one woman who gets to see it. A former gold medalist for Russia. A former gymnast. One of the greats who ascended to the peak of the Olympic hierarchy, only to then find out that the greatest athletics she would ever be a part of is a 65-year-old man playing hockey in an empty arena with several men who he's hired who let him score, but he's still putting up points. I might complain too much about our politics. I think. When we go around the world, we go, oh, that's not great. I think it's possible that, because when I look at the centralization of power anywhere, when I look at someone who's become a billionaire, I go, you may deserve to be rich, but you don't deserve that much. When I look at someone who's become a politician, I go, I don't know if you deserve all that. Even famous people in a variety of the entertainment realm, I go, maybe the reality is nobody deserves all of that. Nobody deserves all that power. Nobody deserves all that attention. Nobody deserves all that money, because we're all fucking idiots. And maybe that's okay. But you can't argue with statistics. And Vladimir Putin's putting up them points. He's putting up them points. Now, speaking of points, last week, we've been picking the Thursday night games. I was really excited when I went 1-0. I thought, what if I pick every Thursday night game right for the entire season? That has not happened. We are 1-2. But what I treated you to last week, if you rode with me and bet Cowboys minus 5.5, was one of the greatest bad beats of all time. The Giants ain't doing shit. The Cowboys are winning this football game, but they're up by 5. And they're running down the clock, and I'm going, we're not going to lose by a half point, are we? Come on. They only have to get one first down, and we're screwed. We're screwed. Well, they didn't get that first down. And I was like, oh, baby. I have not only given out the correct pick, I've given out a motherfucking rocket. Their kicker has been one of the best in the league all year. One of the best. You line that ball up, you give him that big skin, he kicks it, he puts it right through. They love it. He puts it right through in between the uprights. They might call him the uprights because of him. They're not the up wrongs when he kicks it. He puts it right through there. He knows what he's doing. One of the best. He missed a kick that was well within his range and completely fucked us. So that was not great. This week we have Buccaneers playing. They're at Falcons. Buccaneers at Falcons. NFC South divisional game. Are the Falcons getting better? Is Kirky McCousins figuring it out? They are the home team. But the Bucs just rolled on the Eagles. Bucs are plus 1.5. That's not enough. You might as well just take a money line, but we're only picking against the spread this year, so we can call it fair. I'm going Bucs. Bucs are a hit or miss team. They are a hit or miss team, but I think tonight we hit Bucs plus 1.5, and we have to do the Dave Canales. Is he getting his dick wet meter? Dave Canales lost. Okay, he lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, but with Andy Dalton, he's looking good. I'm leaving him down there. I think Andy Dalton is single-handedly going to save Dave Canales' marriage. I'm happy for him. I think Bryce Young will. If Bryce Young comes back, this meter it might go through the roof. We're going to get proof. We're going to get stories. We'll be the first to report it. With Andy Dalton, you're safe. So, as people here at the Joey Show who respect the sanctity of marriage, Dave Canales, you're good. All right, folks. I think that's it. I have to go. I am, if you are a fan of the Flagrant podcast, I am going to hop on their Patreon today, so you'll see me over there. If you wanted to see me in the main feed, not going to happen. I'm going to hop on that, and I have started a new show in New York, so this will be coming out. You'll be late to it because it will have been last night, but we're looking at somewhere around a monthly, and there are special guests. We're going to try and book incredible lineups. It's at this awesome place in the East Village, Mary Lou. It's a happening place. It's a scene. We have a live piano player coming out, so the show's going to have vibes. First show, I can announce the lineup now because it will have already happened. We had Jeffrey Asmus. We had Sam J. We had Andrew Schultz. There's a few other people in play because we have an early and a late show, so figuring it all out, and then it's Mark Gagnon and myself who are doing it. So please come out to that. Please come out and see me live. We've got Edmonton this weekend, Portland, and Vancouver next. Couple weeks off, thank God. Then Belmore, New York. We've got Houston coming down the pipe. We have announced for Minneapolis and Nashville. We have also announced, very new, we've announced San Jose. I'm coming home. The Christmas show, that is up December 18th. And there's another one we just announced. Philly, January 9th, day before your boy's B-Day. Fun stuff. Thank you, guys. This has been The Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. Good blessings and good night.
Thank God I have a podcast.